Hey everybody, it is Grateful Futures here. It is Sunday in the morning at 9:30 a.m. and currently the market's closed. So today's video I wanted to do for you guys is a strategy that I've been using for quite a while, but I've been recently implementing it quite a bit more. It's how to combine certain momentum factors into your volume profile analysis. So basically, the thing is volume profile, fantastic to give you these different levels. If you've seen my previous videos, you'll know that I really like to focus on the low volume nodes, which are here in blue, some are in orange. Or I also like to focus on the session volume profiles virgin points of control, for example, like this one right here. These are the levels that I am, typically looking to see a reversal, a break and retest, just to kind of give you those levels where you can expect to see significant price action change or to happen. But that's not the entire picture, right? We want to know what's the probability that price will actually stop and reverse here? Or what's the probability that price is going to actually break through this? And volume profile can quantify how strong the support is based on how strong the low volume node is, right? For example, this one's probably going to give a little more weight than this one. Um, but it doesn't give you a full picture of what's happening in the moment right now. And lots of traders do use momentum methods. So I think it's very, very helpful to combine the two to give you a full idea of what's actually going to happen at these levels. So I'm going to turn off my session volume profile because that's not fully what this video is about. I want to simplify this for you guys. This is also not about how to find your low volume node levels for a long-term volume profile, so I'll just assume you guys are familiar with that. If not, I have a previous video on how to actually set up all of these volume profiles for you guys. Go check that out if you need a refresher. So I'm going to be working primarily today on a 15-minute chart. I think that gives you the best idea of the general momentum throughout the day. And I'm also going to be, sprinkling in a 5-minute chart to give you a little bit of a, quicker look at if some of this momentum changes at certain levels. So I want to introduce you guys to two new indicators that I like to use for momentum. The first one is kind of a lesser known indicator. Not many people have heard of it. It's called QQE, specifically QQE threshold. And not going to go into detail about what QQE is, but it basically has to deal with a moving average of RSI. We're very familiar with RSI. Usually, that's one of the first ones people learn. But it has to do with the change or rate of change of RSI. So if we go over, I'll show you guys how I set this up. You want to go over and type in QQE threshold in your TradingView scripts indicators tab. It's going to be this one that I used by Jose. Really not really known too much, only 1.4 K downloads of this one. So when you click on it, initially it'll pop up looking kind of crazy like this. I just want to filter just for this histogram. So I'm going to go ahead and go to settings. I'm going to turn this plot off, this plot off. I'm going to turn off the Nope, that's the one I need. This level here. Yeah, you can keep this on if you want to see like a middle ground, but I want to turn these off and then the H lines background. So I just want to focus on this histogram right here. That's giving me kind of the rate of change of RSI. Our buyers coming in right now. You can kind of see the momentum, using this QQE threshold. Now the next one I want to do is kind of a slower moving one, and much more people are familiar with this one. It's called Squeeze Momentum. So it's by Lazy Bear, fantastic scriptwriter. You can see it's one of the most downloaded indicators available to you guys. When you click on that one, that is going to give you the direction and intensity of the current squeeze. So right, you can see this uptrend is really, really strong. We get these, very quick increasing in value bars, and you can kind of see that it's one thing I want to note is that it's a little slower than QQE. So QQE usually is the first indicator that, let's see if I can find an example here. For example, you see that we're still technically squeezing up on the squeeze momentum, but QQE is already starting to step down. So that's kind of the progression for this is one, you want to wait until price nears a volume level. Second, you want to identify the locations of your squeeze indicators. So what that looks like is if we just look at the whole day on this day, we started off kind of middle. It's after a big kind of rip up after as there was some news. Trump was doing some kind of retaliatory tariffs over Greenland. Not going to get into it, but he basically called off those tariffs and we squeezed up, broke from this volume area into the next one above. Right here, we tested it, and now we're opening that day in this peak right here. So what I'm going to assume when I'm doing my pre-market analysis is that what I'm looking for is reactions off of these low volume nodes. So either this one or this one. I'm going to wait until price attempts to test one of those. I'm going to look at my momentum indicators and try to get an idea of what's most likely to happen. Trading is really statistical in nature, right? Anything could happen at any given time. We could open and the market could go to zero. It's just not statistically likely. So it's your job as a trader to identify what is the most likely outcome given the location of the current price, the location of the volume levels, and the current momentum of buyers and sellers. So if we take a look, let's imagine we're opening right here. Actually, let's just do a replay. This is near open. So what we're doing is we're looking, okay, we're in this volume level. That means that this level right here at 691.20 and this level right here at 686.58 are my most proximal low volume nodes. Now I can see that prices is kind of drifting upwards. It's still kind of flat, but on the kind of the open, we're drifting upwards. You can see that there's been plenty of buying. QQE is plentifully green. It's starting to move up a little bit, so you can get the idea that buyers are kind of coming in before market open. But another thing I want you to note is that squeeze momentum has been drifting down since pretty much since the close of yesterday's session. So even though price is moving up, squeeze momentum is starting to move down. We can kind of feel that the squeeze is slowing down, right? Momentum is slowing down, and it's actually almost crossing over to negative close to open. So is it more likely that we would open, test this low volume node, break through it, retest this next volume area up here, and just keep going? What that would require is the squeeze momentum going from, its downward trajectory to just pulling back up again, which is possible. It does happen. It's just not as likely as the momentum continuing to go down as we test this very, very, very intense resistance level from this low volume node. What's more likely to happen is that we are going to, likely, since we're moving up at open, we're likely going to test this low volume node. And that is where I'm looking for this to either continue down. Maybe I see QQQ moving down a little, or QQE, sorry, moving down a little bit, and we get some kind of push down from a failure of that volume level. Given the momentum, that in my head is more likely than it to just break through. But it is possible. So we're always watching for what's happening with our momentum indicators, maybe buyers and sellers on a lower time frame to, once we get there, what is happening? Do we start to see a fail? Do we get sellers? In that case, if we do get sellers and I do get confirmation from my QQE, my squeeze momentum indicator, it's likely going to be a good short opportunity given how strong this low volume node is. So let me erase these just to get these out of your way. And let's go ahead and just do a replay and see if we can see some decent opportunities. I also want to let you know that I do use this on a 5-minute chart, but just the QQE. If you're new here, just want to let you know this blue dotted line right here is VWAP, and this orange line right here is the 20 EMA on a 5-minute chart. I think probably the most important um, moving average you can have on a 5-minute chart. So let's go ahead and look and see if we can see some confirmations here. So on we're at right now, this is 9. Let's just go ahead and click through this. And we are right now at open. So right, this is our first candle here. We do get that, next push up. We see QQE on a 15-minute chart is moving up, and it starts to look like squeeze momentum is pulling back up too. But remember, we're still not broken through this level. That's an important point I want to get on. If you do choose to use these indicators, you want to assume that you never want to assume that a low volume node on a long-term scale is going to break until it does. I always say assume you're going to stay in the current volume level until price tells you otherwise. So I'm going to sit in the pocket right here. A lot of momentum traders that don't use volume profile, a lot of, retail traders that don't look at volume or these kind of special indicators, they're the momentum traders are entering here thinking that we're just going to the moon, right? Um, but if you are using this, you know that this rally is a little bit strung out and that you watch this video, obviously, you have your long-term anchored volume profile on, you see that that's there, and that should be a big kind of red flag that you don't want to enter until it's shown that it can break that resistance. Let's see what happens. Immediately as soon as we get up there, we do see that selling event. We see QQE step down a little bit. Now, I may not enter here. I may wait for a retest. You can enter here, but that's a very good indication when you go and test that major volume level and you see this kind of selling event happen. Likely we are going to see some pretty intense selling just because of the intensity of this low volume node. We already know momentum's drifting down. This QQE has been strung out upwards a little bit. Now it's telling me that now it's way more likely that instead of this to push down with these sellers, buyers would have to fight through those sellers entering at this low volume node. And there's another reason for that too. This is where we gap down. A lot of traders are here. If you think about a psychology perspective, that got trapped in holding longs during this huge sell-off. We're now retesting that space where they're probably been trapped at. They probably want to exit at break even. That's another reason that this would kind of indicate to me that hey, maybe we are going to fail this low volume node. So we're going to go ahead and try a short opportunity here. We're going to go ahead and take it. You guys would have seen it probably right here on the close. I'm going to put my stop above this candle. You could put it maybe near the low volume node. If it retests the low volume, if we just catch buyers and rip back up, I don't want to be in this trade. I think I'll just exit it. But what we're looking for, probably target wise, is most likely somewhere down here. I wouldn't go all the way to the low volume node, but somewhere where a decent, 1.5 risk reward ratio. So let's go ahead and see what happens. You could enter a starter position here, and you can see how quickly those sellers come in. Now, at this point, we have pretty much confirmed that we do have a selling event occurring. If we are using this low volume node as our entry, our target should be either the point of control of this volume area, so right here, or you could do somewhere, kind of close to or a but above this this low volume node right here, right? Because the theory, if you've seen my other videos, is if we're imagining price is going to stay within this volume area, let's mark that off. If price is going to stay within this volume area, then technically below the point of control, We have buying pressure because, right, the point of control is the fair price for this specific peak. And then if we're above the point of control, the closer we get to that low volume node, we have net selling pressure, or we should have, in a typical scenario, a net selling pressure. So I want to probably, I'd probably have a trade just like what's shown up on the screen. Let's go ahead and see how that plays out. And there you get pretty much a perfect test of that line right there. Our trade would have been closed in profit right there. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing, and I'm going to wait because now price is attacking this low volume node. And given the momentum, I think there's probably a good chance it could break. But again, we're on a very, very strong bull kind of scenario here on news. So I'm not going to assume that this low volume node excuse me, is going to break. I'm going to sit in the pocket, wait for my momentum indicators to tell me what's actually going on. So looking on a 5 minute chart, you can see the QQE is actually starting to step up. Let's move that up so you can see it. Right there, it's starting to step up. We get a close on the QQE moving up one. And let's just kind of wait and see. We do see a pop of buyers back to get to this EMA right here. Sellers are bringing it back down. And now what do you see? We see buyers are actually stepping in down here near this low volume node. So we see 5 minute QQE stepping up. We see squeeze momentum is actually stepping up. And now what are we going to kind of wait for, right? We're going to wait for this to get a close above. We did right there. It's a very, very small one, but it is nonetheless. I'd probably wait for a little more confirmation considering that this would have to be, it didn't even fully go negative. It is still likely that this would push down and we continue the sell off. But let's just see what happens. So we have 5 minute QQE leading the way up. We have buyers stepping in. This 15 minute QQE is moving a little bit higher. If I've already been green for the day, I'd probably wait for a little bit more confirmation considering we'd have to go, we're not going from red to green, we're going from green to green on the QQE. So it is possible, but I would probably want to wait for a little better confirmation. And now you see the trend in squeeze momentum is still drifting up from red. So this tells me that, sellers did push down, but they failed at this low volume node. Most likely, price is going to again try to test this upper volume node up here. And I'm going to, so we're on a pullback right now. But again, it's the greater trend, right? This is going from red. Now it looks like it's drifting up to green. We do have small increasing momentum in our QQE threshold. We're going again, stepping up here in our 5 minute. I'd probably say this is a decent long now. And we can see buyers are pushing up, sellers push down, but buyers pick it up again right there. That's, an indication of buyers are not letting this thing drop down. We're above VWAP. Well, probably I would like to get in a little bit earlier, but if you would argue, this was the early short was a much better, indication to me in terms of momentum. We were going from green to red. The squeeze momentum and the QQE were aligning. I probably wouldn't have taken this unless I didn't take this first trade, but it does seem that buyers are supporting it and probably going to attempt to test this low volume node again. So you could take this long because look, your QQE is agreeing with your squeeze momentum. We did come off of that low volume node down here. If you want to take a long on the support above VWAP, you can, but keep a tight stop under this previous low. Where would your profit be? Where are you targeting? Right? So we're above the point of control of this volume area. Clearly, we said that price is probably going to retest this low volume node up here. I'm going to go ahead and set my target for probably, where it failed from before. There could be some sellers still there, but we know that price is ultimately trying to test this level right here. Supports that EMA. Pull this out. And then there, boom. So that would have been another good trade that you could have taken based on how these QQE and squeeze momentum indicators oscillate, giving that you have to wait for these volume levels first, right? So you're waiting for the low volume nodes. And then so basically now we're back up here. We've already made two great trades. Don't have to trade. You can close the computer and be done for the day. But what if we're just going to roll through this and think, what is my mindset while I'm trading, right? So one of two things could happen. We could, one, break up through this low volume node, retest it, and then we're now attempting to test this virgin point of control up here. If you guys want, a video on virgin points of control, go check my last video, the smart money entry. I'm not going to fully go over it today, but it's basically a previous volume level in a previous day, the highest volume level that hasn't yet been tested, right? So that would be this one right here, if this low volume node does break. But that's one opportunity that could potentially happen. It is a possibility since we are squeezing in that direction. But another thing that could happen is we could, again, reject this low volume node. And if we see that we start to make lower highs from that low volume node, it could potentially be another good short opportunity back to this, sorry about that, point of control here. And if that breaks, potentially going back down towards this lower low volume node. So I'm going to just kind of leave that. Actually, we don't need to leave that, but I don't want it to block the way for you guys to see what's happening on the chart. So just know that we're looking at this low volume node right here from 691.2 to see if we're either going to reject that level and then have some kind of confirmation with our momentum indicators, or if we do break up through it, then we're going to be stuck up here in these volume levels that still need to be tested. So let's go ahead and see what happens. Price drifts right up to that low volume node. We start to see some sellers buying. Buyers are holding it up. And at this point now, on the 5-minute chart, you can see pretty clearly that this QQE is now stepping down again, giving us an indication that, hey, look, there are sellers still here ready to go at this low volume node. I wouldn't enter a short here yet, mainly because one, squeeze momentum still viciously ripping up. We are technically moving green, even though our 15-minute chart is just starting to step down on QQE. We are still in a bullish market structure, right? We haven't made any lower highs on either a micro scale or a macro scale. I have another great video on market structure as well, but right, we're still making higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. This would still be a higher low. So instead, I would rather wait for market structure to give me some kind of indication of a lower high before trying to short this again. Right, you always want to go with the market structure unless you have significant evidence. There's a significant, momentum indication telling you that there's going to be a short here. Right now, it's telling me that there's still bullish momentum in the market. So I'm going to wait just to see what happens. If this crashes down, that's fine. I missed it. Um, but let's just, you want to pay for a little more confirmation at some time. So we do get price drifting back up. We get our first micro lower high. Again, remember, we could still drift up and push through that, but our 15-minute QQE is starting to tell a story that, hey, maybe sellers are rejecting this level. Again, I'm going to wait. You can see that squeeze momentum is still strongly pushing up, but it's at that point where it's almost peaking out. I want to still wait though, just to make sure. Another thing you can do here is I showed this in the previous video, smart money entry, that you can can take the volume profile of this upper area right here. That's the volume area that would support price up near that low volume node. This point of control here can give us another little bit of um, indication that if this fails, then um, that's another thing towards, hey, maybe prices aren't stable up here yet. So that would also mean we're going to get a lower high off of that, and then maybe then if our momentum indicators are lining up, then maybe we can short off of the fail of this low volume node. So we do test it right here, get back up into that low volume, the low volume node area up here a little bit. Now this is where I'm saying, okay, hey, is it either going to push back up or do we get that push down from here? There is our push down from our low volume node area. We're also failing that top volume area point of control. To me, this is confirmation that we've failed this low volume node again. We've made that lower high. Our squeeze momentum has closed a 15-minute candle, stepping down now. Our QQE on a 15-minute time frame is stepping down. Our QQE on a 5-minute time frame is stepping down. This is, in my opinion, a good short if you get in right here. Oops, sorry, that is a long short position. Let's go ahead and where are we going to take this to? Remember what I said, since we're still in this volume area, we want to take this trade likely to either the point of control. If you are thinking that, hey, maybe that's a little bit far for me, I don't want to hold a position all the way up until that point. What you can also do is if you turn on your session volume profile, you can take that short to the value area low. So, I'm going to set it as the value area low for like a first target, and then my second target would probably be down here somewhere towards that point of control. Let's just keep it at the value area low for right now. That is, um, you know, that is a 1.33 risk to reward ratio. I like that. Let's go ahead and see what happens in this case. We see 15-minute squeeze momentum's pushing down now. 15-minute QQE is pushing down now. That is, pretty much perfect indication for you, right? We have this buying event that is now fluttering out. We have come off a major low volume node. Our 15-minute time frames confirming with our 5-minute time frame. Now we just gotta, if you want, you can scalp this to VWAP. I think there's more opportunity here because the market structure has, fully shifted to, um, transitioning bearish from this lower high, and price breaks right down right into that value area low. You could take your first bit of profit here. Let's see if it does get down to that point of control. We reject off VWAP, and right there, we hit that point of control of this volume area right here, this heavy volume level. That's another, fantastic trade that you could have taken just by knowing where these low volume node levels are on a long-term scale, and knowing that, hey, when price gets up here, you can see that RSI is starting to move down. Your squeeze momentum has been strung out and moving down now. The last thing you want to do, in my opinion, the biggest mistake any trader can make is to long into a low volume node or short into a low volume node, because you have the highest probability there of a reversal. Hitting that once, seeing sellers come in, buyers attempt to push back up, and then there's another selling event from there, tells you that there's not enough buy orders to break through the sell orders in this area. That is your go for, you know, going ahead and taking that short trade, knowing that if you have your stop above here, there is sell orders there that are going to back you up. So that is another great trade. There's 3 trades we made today just by seeing where these volume levels were and getting that confirmation from your momentum indicators that buyers are turning to sellers at that specific level. So that is what I wanted to show you guys today. and then it's pretty much at close for that day. Let's see if we can just look at another day, just so you guys don't say, hey, that's an anomaly. Let's go ahead and pull up the next trading day. Let's look at the next trading day. So we still open up in that area, prices pushing down at open, but if we look at our 15-minute squeeze momentum, we can see that, hey, actually the momentum is slowing down in terms of sellers. We see that at open, our QQE on a 15-minute time frame stepping up. It's stepping up with that squeeze momentum. Those two are in agreement. We're not necessarily fully down at our low volume node, but we are down near it, which there is net buying pressure when we go below the point of control. I don't want to really necessarily trade at the point of control because if you see my previous videos, that's where price can get stuck at for a little bit. But if we wait until price breaks through it, so we have confirmation that buyers are coming into the market, changing the momentum from bearish to bullish, and we wait for price to get above and retest that point of control, like right about here, which is also VWAP. So we've made a higher low above it. Our 5 minute is stepping back up on in terms of QQE. That's agreeing with our 15-minute time frame. You could take this trade long. And again, our stop would be under that low. And where are we targeting? We're targeting up below near that low volume node yet again. Price is still trying to break through this low volume node. There's buyers holding the line on the bottom of this volume area, and eventually they are trying to break this upper low volume node. So prices where it's headed to. See the target in terms of volume levels. Understand if buyers are coming into the market based on these momentum indicators. You can look down here and see, hey, price is drifting down to VWAP. We do see buyers step in right there. You can even keep your stop, yeah, really, really tight under that. That trade right there is a 4.72 risk reward ratio, which is ridiculous. So again, let's move on. Price again, just like yesterday, the same thing. Tests this low volume node up here, and then we see sellers come into the market. Buyers push up, and then sellers come back into the market. So right here, you see it drifting. It's making lower highs right here. So this is our highest high, which obviously you don't fully know yet. You get an idea that sellers are coming into the market at that low volume node again, but you do want the market structure to change. You see price come up again, comes back down, comes back up. We are now making lower highs on each of these. And at this time right here, you can see again, QQE is stepping down. Our squeeze momentum is going from bullish to bearish right here. And that is our indication, hey, we could probably take this thing short. Where are we going to short it to? Remember, it's constant with this, just the same stuff over and over and over again. We want to short to the point of control. If we're coming off of this low volume node, short to the point of control of this volume area we're currently in. That would look like this. So right about here, you could take it right here. Even if you took it back here on the first lower high, your stop would be above this high or above this high. Any one of these trades would have worked. I'd maybe wait for a little bit more confirmation for QQE to decidedly step down. And where am I going to trade to? To the point of control of the current volume area that we're in. Two trades, same thing, just waiting for these volume levels to price to get near them. Looking at your momentum indicators, what's most likely to happen? Momentum is drifting up at open. Our QQE is stepping up at open. RSI is moving up. Momentum's moving up. Buyers are now trying to attack this low volume node. They fail. QQE is stepping down. Squeeze momentum is stepping down. They failed to break this. Sellers come in and are going to push back to where there was more liquidity. In other words, the point of control where there's the most liquidity of that area. Another two fantastic trades you could have taken just kind of based on this system. Now, another thing I just want to briefly touch on is when you don't want to trade. So you don't want to trade when you don't want to trade against the momentum necessarily, right? So if you see that squeeze momentum is moving up. It's red and moving up. QQE is moving up. This is not going to be an easy short. It can happen. It can just push right down through that, but it would take a massive selling event to override the current momentum of the market. So go with the momentum. Don't go against it. Um, Go with the structure. Wait for structure confirmation. The idea is you have these long-term volume profile and also session volume profile virgin points of control. The volume profile gives you the levels, and the momentum gives you an understanding of what's happening at them. So that's all I wanted to show you guys today. Again, I do have a completely free Discord. The link is in my bio. I put out a plan every single morning. I do look at individual stocks as well. I got a little bit for everybody. You guys trade futures, options, it doesn't matter. Come in. We love having discussions with all different kinds of traders. I personally talk with each one of you guys, so it's completely free. Links in the Discord. I'd love to see you guys in there. As always, be easy and happy trading.